Alright, let's dive in. Day 5691 since the disaster struck. In the UNR Dungeon's Black Tomb, our protagonist Jun Wu, the team leader, slowly stirs. He regains consciousness, hearing a desperate voice trying to wake him up. His comrade, bleeding out, screams at him to snap out of it and open his eyes. Jun Wu just barely manages it, his first question being about the mission. Through tears, one of his teammates reports that the Gigantia subjugation was a success. A weak laugh escapes his lips. They actually did it. He knew Gigantia was a monster on a whole other level from anything before. It took 3 long years to finally hunt this beast down and hundreds of lives. But in the end, they succeeded. His comrades look on relieved. With tears in their eyes, they beg him not to pass out, to just hold on. They tell him the medical team is almost there, making him wonder if they're naive. He's no fool. He can see half his body lying a few feet away. He tells the vice leader to take care of the rest of the group, and to tell the fallen that he can finally say he's sorry. Slowly, he loses consciousness as the sound of his name fades away. Jun Wu, the very first hunter of South Korea and the man who established the entire subjugation system, had met his end fighting the beast Gigantia. He faced the most powerful monster imaginable, but now someone is smacking his head. One of his classmates is reminding him that he was told to refill the hot pot. The guy complains that he didn't even bring them any bread on his break. Is he trying to starve them to death, or does he need a beating to remember? Jun Wu is completely lost. He can't understand any of this. Just moments ago, he was a great hero, and now he's some kid's lackey. Now here's where it gets wild. After he died, he heard a voice say his sacrifice was futile. His body was unresponsive. He knew this was death. Then the voice spoke again. It told him that even though he was dead, they continue to exist. And now there's no one left strong enough to stop them. Jun Wu screams back, calling it nonsense. Did this voice really think his comrades were just idiots who relied only on him? He yells that it wasn't his sword that won, it was the subjugation system. A system meticulously designed to counter every single possible scenario. Their weaknesses, personalized strategies, mastery of combat skills. These were all things he had carefully developed through his own battle experience. He warns the voice to be prepared because in the future, there will be hunters far stronger and more efficient than he ever was. The voice calmly replies that his words aren't bad and that in 42 years, it would return, and you and I both know that's a deadline, not a promise. Jun Wu confidently shouts back that by that time the voice will be no better than a cockroach crawling on the street, and then he wakes up. He feels a sharp pain in his head and looks around, totally confused. Where is he? A hospital? It can't be. He knows for a fact that he died. He was fighting Gigantia. He catches his reflection in a small mirror and pinches his face. He's younger somehow, but this isn't what he looked like as a kid. Nothing feels right. He has no idea what on earth is going on. Just then, a knock on his door. The lights flick on as people enter. A doctor walks in with another man, who approaches our main character's bed. He introduces himself as an investigator, and you and I are about to dive into one wild mystery. He asks Jun Wu if it's okay to ask a few questions about his case. Jun Wu simply asks if this is part of a case investigation. The investigator confirms, asking if he's Jun Wu, age 17. But Jun Wu replies with a simple no, telling them he was born in 1975. The year of the rabbit. This answer leaves both the investigator and the doctor completely stunned. The investigator asks if Jun Wu remembers what happened right before the accident. He says he does. He got seriously injured while taking down Gigantia in the Black Tomb dungeon. Okay, and here's where the story gets seriously weird. Both men are just looking at him, completely lost. The investigator whispers to the doctor, asking if Jun Wu is really stable. He says none of his statements make any medical sense at all. The doctor reminds him that Jun Wu needs to focus on recovery. But the investigator presses, asking if Jun Wu truly believes he's that legendary hunter Kim. Hours later, the doctor explains that short-term memory loss isn't unusual after major trauma. And in severe cases, delusions can completely blur the line between reality and fantasy. But Jun Wu heard them. He asks what exactly is going on. The investigator realizes our guy doesn't remember anything about the real incident. He explains that Jun Wu was ambushed by someone named Bangsun yesterday. The problem, it happened at dawn, no witnesses. And absolutely nothing was caught on CCTV. He asks if Jun Wu can recall anything about it, but our hero stays silent. The investigator sighs, handing him his card. They decide to call it a day, asking him to call if he remembers anything. As the doctor is about to leave, Jun Wu tells him to wait. He has one simple question he needs answered. What year is it? The doctor pauses, then tells him it's March 1st. 2051, and trust me, this is the moment everything flips upside down. He shoots up in total disbelief, yanking his curtain open to see the world outside. And he's in for the shock of his life. In his memory, Seoul was a ghost town. Just ruins left behind from battles with monsters, filled with the sick and starving. He can't believe how much it's changed. In front of him is a clean, organized city with towering skyscrapers. He sees healthy families just enjoying a day in the park, and he starts to laugh through his tears. He thinks to himself, seeing all this, how could he not believe it? He watches the peaceful scene, the happy people, a smile spreading across his face. He wonders if everyone is still alive, thinking back to his old comrades, Ino, Soku, Woik, and Yanhai. It's been 42 years, he guesses they must all be together by now. Then it hits him, it's been exactly 42 years since that day. Suddenly, the entire hospital starts to shake violently. An emergency alert blares. A major crisis is unfolding at Gion University Hospital. He looks out the window and sees it, a massive dungeon gate ripping open reality. People are screaming, running for their lives, but you're not going to believe what our guy does. He's actually excited to see the upgraded subjugation system after all this time. But the moment he steps outside, he's greeted by a massive swarm of people. Trust me, you and I are about to see just how much the world has changed. A soldier captain is announcing that an advanced hunter will be joining the subjugation. He warns the crowd that for their safety, they must stay behind the line. The captain adds that in 10 minutes, they plan to lure the monster out. Those words shock Jun Wu to his core. He can't believe what he's hearing. They're going to pull a monster asterisk outside the dungeon. 42 years ago, that was suicide. He remembers drilling it into his comrades once a monster leaves the gate. The battle is already lost. He told them that it wasn't uncommon for a single monster to completely destroy a city, and in some cases, an entire country could be wiped off the map. That's why he stressed one thing. Subjugations must always be done inside the dungeon. It was the most vital rule. An absolute essential law. He had screamed it at them to make them remember. And they all promised they would. Back in the present, he shoves through the crowd. He calls them crazy fools, then sees people setting up right inside the danger zone. They're positioning cameras and a reporter is doing a mic check. He loses it. He screams at them, asking if they're insane, trying to lure monsters out here. He furiously reminds them that monster hunts are not some kind of children's game. Gathering a crowd for this nonsense could get every single one of them killed. But he's cut off when the people around him start screaming and cheering for Go-yoon. A car pulls up inside the zone and a woman steps out as the crowd goes wild. They're all shouting her name, cameras flashing non-stop as he just stares. So this is a modern hunter. He notices she's much younger than he expected. It makes him wonder about her actual skills as she walks towards the gate. She connects to her system, accessing the Unified Subjugation Support Network. It's from the Abilities Dimension Management Association. She's confirmed as a B-rank hunter. The soldier captain then announces that the monster is finally on its way out. Now pay attention because here it comes. Raw power explodes from the dungeon gate. A monster with huge claws and teeth emerges, facing Go-yoon head-on. She uses her frost magic, instantly crystallizing her sword into a blade of ice. The beast roars and lunges to bite her, but she dodges it with ease. She slashes it with her magic sword, hitting it with a blast of ice. Everyone's amazed. They think she's cool, saying her movements look more like a dance than a fight. A kid watching tells his father that when he grows up, he wants to be a hunter. A hunter who protects people. His father agrees and Jun Wu actually cracks a smile. Go-yoon leaps high, aims her sword down at the monster, and releases sharp crystals. The attack hits the monster perfectly. It tries its best to get up. But it can't, it collapses for good and the crowd absolutely erupts. Jun Wu stands there stunned, letting out a strange, awkward laugh, but then his face changes. "That's not it," he says furiously. "Is this what you people call a purge now? Okay, you and I both know this entire situation is completely messed up. There's a rookie hunter dressed like a celebrity who only relies on flashy skills. The backup team is slacking off, not even providing support from the rear. But the most unbearable thing for him is watching them conduct this subjugation. A real-life battle full of variables on a street packed with civilians," he snaps. "All right, let's jump right into the action," as a soldier screams at our guy, telling him that's enough. But he furiously roars back, "What the hell do you think you're doing? Dragging a monster straight out of a dungeon," he demands to know if they're insane. Don't they realize a monster leaving a dungeon like this could go completely berserk? Especially if it can't adapt to this dimension, he keeps shouting at them. What would happen if it activated a skill right here in the crowd and it went wild? Or what if this monster has traits that weren't in the intel they were given? He then yells that their rear flank is completely exposed to attack. Is this really what they call a proper subjugation? At this rate, it's just a street performance. Suddenly, Yuni's voice cuts in, asking him if he's from the academy. He immediately recognizes her from before. She starts lecturing him. She says all of this was stuff they learned in class, the rules of subjugation, the process, even the positioning. She calls his enthusiasm great but warns him. Don't assume class covers everything, because the field is way different than a student imagines. And this is where she learns a hard lesson. He asks sharply if she just called it the field. Staring her down, he asks how dare she bring up the field in front of him. She's completely stunned, frozen in fear by the sheer killing intent in his eyes. Her bodyguards immediately step in, telling him he can't act like that here. He asks her if her name is Go Yuni, and then tells her something brutal. With your level of skill, you should be ashamed to even call yourself a hunter. But she just teases back that school life must have been really tough on him. He's left standing there confused. A moment later, he's back at the hospital park. The monster's voice plays over in his head. He thinks it's all over. He realizes today's hunters are even worse than the weakest ones from 30 years ago. The whole system is broken, and let me tell you, this next part is terrifying. He knows that if Gigantia is revived, it will be the end for every single one of them. He needs to start preparing right now, but who on earth would believe him? Then it hits him, his old squad members. They would believe him if he could just find them. But he has no clue how to even begin looking for them. He can't just stop random people and ask. Then he remembers Yuni's question. Academy, without hesitation, he takes off running, convinced that someone must have built a hunter academy in the last 30 years, and there's only one person who could have. Baek Wosik. He flashes back to 42 years ago when he'd asked Wosik about it. Wosik had said yes, telling him that while it would be great if the war could end with their generation, it just didn't seem likely. Wosik said that once he retired from the front lines, he wanted to do one thing: build an academy and properly raise the next generation of hunters. Wosik then asked him what they should name the school, telling him to pick one. Jun Wu thought for a bit, suggesting something simple like K Hunter Academy. But Wosik immediately shot that down, saying it was way too simple. Back in the present, he arrives at the Hunter Academy and lets out a dry laugh. He can't believe it's real. The school is ridiculously huge. A voice calls out, asking what he's doing there. It's an old security guard. The guard approaches, saying he doesn't recognize his face from around here. He asks if he's a student. Our hero says no, and you're not gonna believe what he says next. He says he's just there on business, but the guard warns him off. If he's here to see Hunter Go Yuni, he better turn around. She's not someone you can just wait for at the school gate. Our guy quickly explains that's not it. But man, he can't help but wonder if that brat is also a student here. He asks the guard if he knows someone by the name of Baek Wosik. The guard thinks for a second, then asks if he means the chairman. He says yes and asks if it would be possible to meet him. The guard gets suspicious. Why would a non-student need to see the chairman? But then a light bulb goes off. He asks if our guy is the special admission student. He hesitates, but yeah, sure, he's a special admission student. No idea what's going on, but hey, he decides to just roll with it for now. The guard's entire attitude changes, telling him he should have said so from the start. Come on, he says, I'll show you the way. As they're walking though, our hero wonders, did that guard just give him a look of pity, or was that just in his head? He keeps quiet and follows the guard into the main office building. And that's when he sees it, a massive, huge portrait of his old self on the wall. He shouts, "What is that?" but the guard immediately shushes him. Shouting is absolutely forbidden inside the school. He quickly apologizes. He even slaps his own face in embarrassment, a giant portrait of himself. That is way over the top, and as they walk down the hall there's more. More portraits, this time with his hunter motto. A hunter is made with 99% effort and 1% talent. He physically cringes. Did he really say that? The guard knocks on the chairman's door and announces their arrival. Wosik lets them in, but not before the guard gives him a final warning. Don't do anything weird. He agrees and steps inside the office. The guard tells Wosik that the special transfer student for the semester has arrived. Wosik is just confused. The guard says his goodbyes and leaves him totally alone. Wosik approaches, saying this is strange. He hasn't heard anything about a special admission student this semester. Then he gets serious, demanding to know who he is. He warns him that if he doesn't have a good explanation, it's game over. But with a huge smile, our guy just calls the chairman by his first name, Wosik. This completely shocks him. He starts laughing, telling Wosik he almost didn't recognize him. "What happened to you?" he teases, saying that the chairman looks so old now. He even asks if Wosik doesn't recognize him. Then introduces himself as Jun Wu. Wosik laughs for a split second, then lunges for the phone. He starts shouting that he's never seen such a complete lunatic in his life. He calls security, ordering them to come remove this intruder immediately. He even yells at the guard on the other end for letting someone in without checking first. But Jun Wu interrupts him, asking Wosik, "What about Sunyoung?" Wosik freezes mid-sentence, absolutely stunned. How does he know that name? Jun Wu reminds him Sunyoung was on Team 3. And Wosik was constantly chasing after her, only to get shot down and cry his eyes out right in front of him. Wosik rushes toward him as Jun Wu casually adds that it looks like it never worked out. He grabs him by the collar, furiously screaming, demanding to know who he is. But completely calm, Jun Wu tells Wosik that in all his life, even now. Woik grabs him, showing a flash of nerve, but he's immediately stunned by the look in Jun Wu's eyes. He instinctively lets go of him, stumbling backwards in absolute fear. The sledgehammer remains at the ready, its heavy bolt still attached. Jun Wu casually dusts off his clothes, asking how many times he has to teach this lesson. Whether you're facing down monsters or other people, if you want control, you have to commit. Woik's eyes go wide, seeing a phantom image of his old leader right in front of him. Stuttering, he calls out, "Leader, let's jump back 42 years and find out why." We're at the subjugation headquarters base camp, and a younger Woik is shouting at everyone. He's demanding they hurry up, screaming to know what they're doing. He presses a sharp knife to a terrified woman's throat, demanding food and antibiotics. Just then, Jun Wu arrives on the scene and asks his team what's going on. One of his men explains that some guy from Camp 7 was apparently kicked out. Supposedly, he has an infectious disease and is now demanding supplies for it. "Infectious disease?" Jun Wu asks, his interest suddenly piqued. The man clarifies that it's Woik's younger sibling who is said to be sick. For a second, Jun Wu questions why he ever came out of retirement for this kind of drama. After thinking for a moment, he silently approaches Woik and his hostage. Woik spots him coming, shouting for him not to get any closer. He presses the knife harder against the woman's neck, a clear warning. But Jun Wu just keeps walking forward without saying a single word. Worried, Woik aims his knife at Jun Wu, yelling that if he doesn't stop, she dies. Jun Wu's reply is ice cold, and trust me, it stuns everyone. "Do as you please." They both freeze in pure shock, and Woik stutters, asking what he just said. "Do as you please," Jun Wu repeats calmly, "in a world where monsters roam free." He says it wouldn't be surprising to die at any given moment. Jun Wu calls his bluff, asking if he's actually unable to kill the woman. He reminds him that he was the one who said he wanted to save his sibling. He tells Woik that if he truly wants the medicine, he must be willing to kill. Even if that means taking out every single person standing right there. Jun Wu adds that if you plan to save someone's life in this world, you also have to be prepared to take someone else's, no matter who it is. That's just the kind of brutal reality that they're all living in now. So whether facing monsters or people, if you want control, you do it properly. But if you can't, then stop this pointless act or die with your sibling. Now that's the lesson here. Enraged, Woik shoves the woman aside and rushes straight at Jun Wu with the knife. Jun Wu simply dodges the attack, grabs his arm and slams him onto the ground. Woik curses loudly as he hits the dirt hard, but he forces himself up. He gets back on his feet and furiously calls Jun Wu a bastard. Woik launches another attack, throwing his knife right at Jun Wu, screaming for him to die. Jun Wu remains perfectly calm and just says, "Now that is what I call spirit." He then equips the Ring of Paitlis and deflects the incoming attack with ease. Then he points a single finger at Woik's forehead, activating the ring's ability. Ultra-high compression strike, explosive flick, you and I are about to see this go down. He flicks Woik's forehead, sending him flying backwards and slamming into the wall. Woik collapses to the ground unconscious, but not before activating his own skill. Jun Wu asks Boomen if they have any antibiotics left, and the man confirms they do. Without hesitation, he orders a search team to find Wosik's younger sister. He knows she has to be nearby, but Bongman hesitates, reminding him of the risks. He argues that if Wosik's sister really had some infectious disease, she would be dead by now. But Jun Wu has already thought it through, pointing out the distance from Camp 7 to here. It's over 100 kilometers, meaning her journey must have taken at least a week. If it were a real plague, Wosik himself would have been the first one to die. He tells Boomin to get moving, who snaps a "yes, sir," and runs off. Next, Jun Wu orders another soldier to take Wosik to Jun Young's lodging. The instructions are simple: feed him and get him ready for training tomorrow. When his comrade asks if that means Wosik is on their team, Jun Wu simply replies, "Yes, from now on we are on the same team," he says before walking away. And now we're back to the present, where old Wosik is asking the question we're all thinking. Is that really him, and what in the world happened to his appearance? Jun Wu just says he woke up like this. Wosik can only stare back, stuttering in disbelief. He says that anyone would be just as shocked. A dead man came back looking like a kid. So Jun Wu smirks and asks if he should bring up the story of him wetting himself on his first hunt. That gets a reaction. Wosik screams in absolute embarrassment. And out of pure shock, he lands a solid punch right on Jun Wu's face. Meanwhile, the guard is sprinting back, panicking about how Wosik had chewed him out. Wosik had demanded to know how he could let someone waltz in without proper verification. The guard knew the special admission program was for students in difficult situations. So when a student came to the academy looking for the chairman, he just assumed. It was a painful mistake that got him dragged into this awful secret ceremony. He never, ever would have chosen to be a part of this. The guard finally arrives at the chairman's office. He figures there's no use regretting it now, all he can do is beg for forgiveness. But when he opens the door, he hears someone shouting, "Focus." And what he sees inside, trust me, you are not ready for this. The chairman is on the floor, doing push-ups right in front of Jun Wu. The guard freezes, totally stunned, and then slowly closes the door in a daze. A moment later, he's icing his own face while a sweat-drenched Wosik looks away in terror. Jun Wu says his face is still sore, and Wosik quickly apologizes for the punch. He explains that the memory was just so embarrassing, he completely lost control. Wosik then brings him a hot coffee, as Jun Wu notes how much the world has changed. Kneeling across from him, Wosik agrees, saying it must be a huge shock. As if everything he knew had changed in an instant, Jun Wu simply nods. He says among all the changes, the public subjugations stand out the most. Earlier, he saw them draw a monster into the middle of the city just to kill it. Wosik realizes he's talking about the incident near the university hospital. He tells Jun Wu he thinks he understands what's on his mind. Wosik explains that after Jun Wu defeated Gigantia, the world truly became more peaceful. Dangerous monsters are much rarer now, so these outdoor subjugations have become acceptable. Jun Wu asks if that means they're deliberately luring monsters out of dungeons. Luring them out just to take them down for public show. And right here, you can feel the story's tone start to change. Jun Wu exploded, yelling that there's a limit to how reckless people can be. He warned that with every power-up, the dangers of going solo increase 100 times. But Wosik calmly explained there was another reason for these public spectacles. He told Jun Wu it's almost impossible to sustain the subjugation field these days. Not without major ad sponsorships or backing from massive corporations. Because of this, the Association for Supernatural Dimension Management and various government agencies have become completely tangled together. It's made everything a bureaucratic nightmare with powerful interests at play. Hunters are now treated more like celebrities than heroes. And this is where you see how warped the whole system has become. Furious, Jun Wu shouted that it wasn't too late to change things back. He begged Wosik, as the Hunter Academy's chairman, to re-educate the new generation. Wosik just reminded him that with corporations and the government so connected, he can't even change a single school policy on his own authority. Jun Wu scoffed, asking if Wosik was just some puppet chairman. He then brought up their old comrades, saying they could all team up again for a change. But Wosik admitted many of their old friends are the ones pulling the strings now. They're executives in those same corporations and government agencies. He said sadly that more of them would oppose Jun Wu's return than welcome it. I have no interest in public service, Jun Wu said, asking if Wosik felt the same. No, Wosik replied firmly, saying Jun Wu has no idea what he meant to him. Jun Wu sighed, admitting the whole situation was completely messed up. Wosik tried to cheer him up, pointing out how peaceful the world had become. And while he himself had grown old, Jun Wu had become young again. He suggested that starting a new, stylish life could be a great option. But Jun Wu cut right through his cheerful mood with a terrifying statement. Gigantia will be revived. Wosik froze, asking in disbelief what he just heard. Jun Wu confirmed it again, saying he wished it wasn't true, but it is. He doesn't want to believe it either, but there's no denying the facts. He explained that right as he was about to die, on the verge of losing his mind, he met Gigantia. The monster told him it would come back in 42 years. It told Jun Wu to be ready to meet it once again. Wosik desperately asked if it could have been someone else, if he truly believed it. Jun Wu just fired back, asking why that's so hard to believe. After all, Wosik already believes that he, a man who died 42 years ago, could return. Jun Wu said he came back clinging to a desperate hope, but now sees it's useless. Wosik asked him what he plans to do now. Jun Wu just turned the question back on him, same as before. He said, "I'll handle it myself," and right there we see the legendary hero emerge once more. Wosik argued that no matter how great he is, his current body is just too weak. But Jun Wu replied with total confidence, he took Gigantia down once before. He can absolutely do it again. Then he asked where his old weapon was. He said he could rest, but fighting that thing without his weapon would be tough. Wosik told him the weapon is being stored at the Supernatural Dimension Management HQ. But he added, given how legendary it is, getting it back won't be easy. But getting his weapon back wasn't something Jun Wu could just do, and that irritated him. He grumbled to Wosik about not being able to grab his own belongings. Wosik explained that the person in charge of headquarters was Executive Director Go Sadu. Jun Wu's eyes lit up. He asked if Wosik meant their youngest, smiling at the thought. Perfect, Sadu had always been incredibly loyal to him, but Wosik quickly shut that down. He explained that the Go Sadu who once followed him faithfully was gone. In fact, Sadu would probably be one of the least happy people to see him return. Frustrated, Jun Wu muttered that nothing was going his way. Wosik begged him to listen. He revealed that Sadu's granddaughter just so happened to attend the Hunter Academy. He added that Sadu absolutely doted on her and couldn't say no to a single thing she asked. So what do you think the plan is? Yep, approaching Sadu's granddaughter might be the key. Wosik admitted he wasn't sure how well it would work, but it was their best shot. Jun Wu declared they had to try, asking for the granddaughter's name. But Wosik told him he'd already seen her. She was at that subjugation site. The one right near the Gion University Hospital intersection. Realization hit Jun Wu like a truck as he remembered Go-Yuna. Wosik confirmed it. Jun Wu was just stunned, in total disbelief, even after Wosik confirmed it again. He had to ask one more time, Go Sadu's granddaughter is Go-Yuna? Wosik said yes. Then he asked if there was a problem. Jun Wu basically screamed that it was already over. He told Wosik how furious he was after seeing that sloppy public subjugation. so he gave them all a good scolding. This sent a chill down Yuzik's spine. Stuttering, he asked if Jun Wu had injured anyone. Or done anything extreme. Jun Wu snapped back, asking if Yuzik thought he was crazy. He assured him he just said a few angry words before storming off. Noble, my prince, indeed. Jun Wu paced for a moment, clearly agitated. Then he yelled in frustration, having no idea what to do. But then, an idea formed. Okay, get ready for this because his solution is absolutely insane. He held out his hand to Yuzik. Yuzik just stared, confused, asking if he needed something. Jun Wu shot back, what else? I need an application form. Yuzik was completely floored by the request. But Jun Wu impatiently told him to just hand it over already. He laid out the logic. His weapon was with Sadhu, the director of the support division. And to get it back, he first had to get close to Sadhu's granddaughter. And since she was enrolled in the academy, there was only one path forward. Yuzik, still in shock, asked if he was seriously planning to enroll at his age. At my age, Jun Wu snapped back, completely offended. Yuzik explained that if Jun Wu had lived his life out, he'd be 80 years old by now. He asked how on earth he planned to blend in with kids when he was technically in his late 30s. Yuzik added that even just eating something, Jun Wu gave off the vibe of an old man. He warned him he'd stick out like a sore thumb with that musty old man smell. It was obvious he'd either end up getting bullied by the kids or bullying them himself. Fed up, Jun Wu shouted back, asking who said anything about making friends. He assured Yuzik he would quit the second he got his weapon back. Yuzik sighed, finally giving in, saying he was just as relentless as he'd always been. Jun Wu proudly shot back that it was the reason he died before them in the first place. Yuzik handed him the enrollment form, begging him not to be too hard on the kids. And you and I both know how that's going to turn out. Jun Wu just asked if Yuzik really thought he was some kind of monster. Was some kind of thug, but Woke insisted that even if the kids got on his nerves, Jun Wu needed to try and tolerate them as much as possible. Jun Wu wasn't buying it, casually replying they'd see how it goes. Woke shouted that he was dead serious. Kids these days are fragile. And if Jun Wu treated them like he used to, they wouldn't last a day. Jun Wu snapped back that he got the message and told Woke to stop with the nagging. The next day at Hunter Academy, Jun Wu found himself outside the first-year Class C classroom. Standing at the doorway, he thought he'd already made up his mind. But now that he was here, the nerves started to kick in. Still, he had to do this for Woke, and he needed to keep a low profile until he could figure out how to get to uni. Suddenly, a voice behind him asks what he's doing, and this, my friends, is where his quiet first day goes off the rails. He turned to see a young woman asking why he was blocking the door. Telling him to get out of the way if he wasn't going in, he replied he was just about to. But then she lined in clothes, leaving him totally confused. She asked if he was by any chance the dog from yesterday. Now he's even more lost. The woman just walked right past him, saying she heard a special transfer student was coming today, but she never expected the dog from yesterday to show up. She shrugged it off as none of her business and walked into class. Jun Wu shouted after her, demanding to know who this dog from yesterday she was talking about was. Feeling a bit dizzy, he muttered about how she just says whatever she wants and walks away. Jun Wu finally stepped into the classroom, thinking to himself that kids these days have absolutely no respect. Then his eyes went wide. His new classmates were all staring right at him, whispering and stealing glances. Okay, what is going on here? You and I both know something is definitely up. It was his first day, yet everyone looked at him like they knew him already. Trying to ignore it, he scanned the room. The Hunter Academy seemed well more ordinary than he'd imagined. He was picturing something way more extraordinary, where everyone would be walking around with their own personal weapons. Looking for an empty seat. His eyes landed on a table with a red bouquet of roses and a letter that read HHS Mountain Rose on it. Turns out the letter was from Woke, congratulating him on enrolling. He picked up the flowers, wondering if this was a normal thing or if Woke was just being his usual over-the-top self. Sitting down, he wondered what in the world he was supposed to do with a bouquet. He can't eat it, and it's just a waste of money. Suddenly, the classroom door flew open and a guy barged in. He was yelling about how the teacher called him in first thing in the morning, like he was some kind of problem. The guy grumbled, clearly ticked off. Jun Wu noticed how all his classmates immediately looked down when the guy entered. He figured this must be one of those punks who thinks he runs the class. Pathetic, he thought. The guy stormed into the room, saw Jun Wu, and broke into a massive grin. He walked over and asked if he was the dog from yesterday. He added that Jun Wu seriously messed with Yun during the public hunt, and that he was the special transfer student everyone's been whispering about. Jun Wu asked how he knew. The guy explained that a clip of Jun Wu had been uploaded and had already spread all over social media. And just like that, we know why his cover is already blown. Jun Wu didn't really get social media, but he knew what going viral meant. And trust me, that one clip explains everything that's about to go down. Suddenly, some guy smacks the back of Jun Wu's head, shouting at him. He can't believe Jun Wu actually pulled it off, calling him a madman. He'd messed with Yun, a special transfer student, and somehow landed himself right in Class E, which meant he was completely out of his mind. The guy sticks out his hand, introducing himself as Jusuk. Jun Wu is fuming. But then he remembers Wosik's one rule: tolerate the annoying kids no matter what. So swallowing his pride, he shakes the guy's hand, saying his name is Kim Jun Wu. Jusuk just bursts out laughing, asking if his name is seriously Kim Jun Wu. He jokes that Jun Wu's parents must have been something else, naming him after the legendary hunter. He figured they thought the name alone would turn him into a top-tier warrior. He's howling, calling him Mim Jun Wu now. He slaps his back, saying they should get along. Jun Wu just forces a smile. Now pay attention here, because the conversation takes a real sleazy turn. Jusuk asks what Yun looked like up close. He clarifies he means Go Yun. He asks if her body wasn't incredible, adding that her face wasn't half bad either. Pretty decent, he smirks, before asking which department Yun's grandpa runs. He figures that powerful connection is the only reason she has such a bad personality. Jusuk even adds that if it weren't for that, she might be his type. Then he takes it back, her fierce eyes are a little too much for him. Before Jusuk can say another word, someone cuts him off, telling him not to overdo it. And would you look at that, it's the girl from before. This is where it gets good. She sarcastically asks Jusuk if he ever looks in a mirror before judging someone. With a face like his, he flips out, asking if she's completely lost her mind. He yells that he's let her comments slide a few times, but now she's pushing it. She coolly asks what there is to push. At the end of the day, they're both just scum from Class E at this. Jusuk absolutely explodes. He retorts that he's not on her level, he was originally from Class B. She just scoffs, reminding him he got demoted to Class E for his poor skills. Mocking him, she calls it a pretty amazing achievement for someone so high class. Then she adds that his father's connections must be incredible. Because without them, he'd have been kicked out of the academy ages ago. Ouch. Furious, Jusuk raises his hand to slap her, cursing his head off. She closes her eyes, bracing for the impact. Instead, a loud slam rips through the room. Jusuk is shocked to find himself flying across the classroom. The other students just stare. In disbelief, they see it was Jun Wu. Stunned, Jusuk screams, Mim Jun Wu. He shouts, asking if he's out of his mind, then asks if he just got kicked. To which Jun Wu replies, couldn't tell, want me to do it again for you. That sends Jusuk over the edge. He angrily asks if he needs help adjusting. And you and I are about to see this bully totally lose his mind on day one. He furiously asks if he needs a death sentence to finally get a clue. Jun Wu just laughs. He calls Jusuk a little punk who has never faced true death. Not taking it, Jusuk launches a punch straight at Jun Wu's face, demanding to know what the hell he's saying, but our main character dodges it, easily. Scoffing at the punch, thinking it was pathetic, and noticing JK's right side was completely exposed. He found it laughable and was about to hit back when suddenly, the teacher yells, demanding to know what on earth they think they're doing. Juk is furious, cursing his luck. Of all times, why did the teacher have to show up now? He walks past our hero, warning him that he'll see him later and make his school life an absolute living hell, so he'd better look forward to it. After class, he meets a stressed-out Woik, who asks how he could pull a stunt like that on his very first day. He just replies that he's been holding back a lot. Woik says he managed to smooth things over for now, so they might avoid getting the school violence committee involved. However, Woik adds that he can't predict how that person is going to react. Our MC asks what he means by that person. And here's where it gets really bad. Pay attention to this reveal. Woik explains the guy he kicked is the son of Ohm Yong-jin, the minister of the Korean Subjugation Bureau. This kid is totally out of control, always using his dad's power to get away with murder. And despite all the chaos Juk causes, not a single word ever makes it to the news. It suddenly clicks why Juk turned out to be such an entitled brat. Woik is saying that of all the people to pick a fight with, he chose the worst one possible. He warns that if Juk causes more trouble and he fights back again, there will be no bailing him out next time. Our guy just says okay, adding he'll handle it himself. Stepping out of Woik's office with a sigh, he's startled when the girl from his class suddenly appears out of nowhere. She asks him why he did it, making him jump in surprise and stammer, asking what she means. She clarifies, talking about Wosik, and asking if he has any idea what kind of person Wosik is. He just shrugs and replies, who cares, saying he's always hated kids with zero manners. He then flips the question on her, asking why she started a fight when Juk wasn't even talking to her, but had mentioned Yuna instead. Mid-sentence he freezes, a realization hits him. Okay, you and I are probably thinking the same thing right now. This girl looks a lot like Yuna. He asks her straight up if she's Yuna's little sister, to which she just says yes. He thinks this is a massive stroke of luck. If that's the case, he doesn't have to deal with Yuna directly. He can just start with her. But she cuts his thoughts short, explaining that she isn't Yuna's actual sister, different mothers. She can't even be listed on the family registry, so she's basically a stranger to them. He then asks if she's at least connected to her grandfather. She replies that they have a great relationship, so great that the old man had her removed from the family registry entirely. This leaves him completely disappointed. She then asks if he only helped her because he thought she was part of their powerful family. She assumes he thought he'd hit the jackpot by making a big connection. She gets it, she says, because a special admission student like him is basically just prey here, needing someone powerful to protect them more than anyone. She starts to walk away, telling him she thought he'd be different. But in the end, he's just like all the other trash who only cares about status and connections. However, he calmly stops her. Is that so? He asks, telling her she's awfully quick to make assumptions. Just because he's a special admission student. He fires back that it seems like she's no different when it comes to judging people by their background. Her jaw drops, but he just turns and walks away saying that. All this talk about family status and special admissions in a school is absolutely ridiculous, she screams after him, warning him to just wait. He's about to find out the hard way what being a special admissions student really means around here, but he just gives a casual sure and walks off. Leaving her fuming, a moment later, he's standing alone in the hallway. He lets out a frustrated sigh. He thought this was going to be easy. Turns out it's not. Guess he needs to find a new plan. To get close to Yunkai, suddenly a guy approaches him from behind. He asks if he's the new special admissions student that everyone's talking about. The one from Class E. He turns to face him, wondering who this is, and says, "So what if I am?" And just like that, 4 more guys appear surrounding him. And here we go, the chubby one in front tells him to come with them quietly. Unless, of course, he wants to get beaten down right here in the hallway. Annoyed but not wanting to make a scene, he decides to follow them. They lead him to an abandoned classroom, set apart from the main school building. He steps inside, stopping in the middle, so this is their little hideout. The whole place stinks of cigarettes, making him think that kids never really change. It's a harsh reminder that conflict only ever ends with more conflict. Someone at the front of the group calls out to him, "Hey, fake Jun Wu." It's Wosik, he says before they make some unforgettable memories together. He just wants to ask him one little thing. What kind of nerve does a special admission nobody like him have? To pick a fight with him, he calls it absurd, wondering if he's dreaming. He calmly replies that everywhere he goes, people keep bringing it up. So honestly, he's the one who's curious why it's such a big deal. Enraged, Wosik asks if he's seriously playing dumb right now. He yells that he got in through some charity program for the disadvantaged. And now he's acting like they're on the same level. Of course it's a big deal. Wosik adds that if he wasn't already on thin ice with the school. He'd crush him personally. He tells him to count himself lucky because his guys know how to handle things without leaving too much of a mess. Then Josuk gives the order, start. A goon behind him throws a kick, but he easily dodges. Now pay attention because this isn't his first rodeo. The guy falls flat on his butt. Josuk just scoffs, saying he's good at dodging. Two more rush him at once. He sidesteps a punch from one, ducks under another. He calmly asks, don't they teach basic fighting skills anymore? The chubby guy lunges at him, calling him a little rat. Big mistake. He meets the attack with a sharp knee straight to the guy's face. The sound of his nose breaking echoes as he collapses, blood everywhere. The other four guys just stare in shock. He taunts them, what's wrong? Josuk starts screaming in fury. Our guy turns to him and asks, aren't you going to help make some unforgettable memories with me? He just tells them if they're going to bring it, they better bring it for real. And with a smirk he calls them what they are, little punks, and trust me, they earned it. Let's jump right in as An storms down the hallway, absolutely fuming at Jun Wu. She can't believe the nerve he had, talking down to her like that. So arrogant, and for what? Just then she hears one of her classmates panic. Turns out the special admissions student just got called out by Juk's entire gang. The other students start whispering. They're saying Jun Wu totally deserved it. Some are even betting his school life is already over. A few joke he might set a new record. The shortest time any special admissions student has ever lasted before dropping out. Someone asks if they should get a teacher, but another kid scoffs. No way, why would they risk getting involved in that mess for no good reason? An looks away thinking, yeah, he got exactly what was coming to him. But then she hears Jun Wu's confident voice ringing in her head. And yet I need not fear that you will never grow richer than me. Her entire body freezes as those words echo in her mind. Mortified and flustered, she just turns and bolts. Meanwhile, in the gang's hideout, Jun Wu stands alone facing Juk and his crew. Juk is losing his mind. Are you kidding me? He screams at them. Stop standing around and crush him. But his four goons just stand there frozen, not knowing what to do. Juk can't believe it. They're making a big deal over one little nosebleed. Jun Wu just smirks. Their skills and their guts are no better than a bunch of kids. That just makes Juk even madder. He screams at his crew to use their skills. But they hesitate again, pointing out that if they get caught, they're expelled. Juk snaps back, then just make sure you don't get caught, reluctantly. They activate their bracelets. Jun Wu's eyes lock onto them immediately. They look just like the one Yun used earlier. He puts it together instantly. Instead of carrying weapons, students now use these bracelets to summon them. The guys flash their gear, but still can't bring themselves to make a move. Okay, now watch, this is where Juk completely loses his patience. Get lost. He shoves them aside and accesses his own system. One of his lackeys tries to warn him. If he gets caught using his skills while on probation, it's not going to end well. But Juk just barks at him to shut up. His system glows. He's D-rank, combat armed category. Proudly, Juk summons his weapon. The black spear Trias. He shows it off to Jun Wu with a smug grin. He warns Jun Wu he's about to make him cry and beg for his life. But here's the thing, Jun Wu is totally unimpressed. Do you even know how to use that? Juk is stunned. Are you blind or just crazy? I'm already using it. Jun Wu casually picks up a short broom. You think just summoning a weapon is the skill? He scoffs, calling Juk a kid who knows absolutely nothing. Aiming the broom like a sword, he asks him how he dares use a skill on someone. Outside of a dungeon, back in the faculty office, a teacher approaches Yubin. He's the homeroom teacher for Class E, and he's hearing some interesting rumors. Apparently, the new special admissions student is already causing trouble on day one. Yubin just laughs it off, saying yeah, he's got his hands full. The other teacher asks what kind of guts Jun Wu has, picking a fight with Juk from Class B. Especially since Jun Wu is just a special admission kid stuck in the lowest ranked class. You and I both know what that implies, right? That Jun Wu has zero talent as a hunter. Strike, but Yubin corrects him, explaining that wasn't what happened at all. She reveals Kim Jun Wu was admitted into a very special category. Excluded from evaluation, the teacher is stunned by this revelation. He knows that category is only for students whose combat rank is so high, it literally can't even be measured by their system. He notes that until now, The only student to ever get that status was the legendary Go Yu-yoon. He asks if Yubin is seriously saying Jun Wu is on the same level as Yu-yoon. He also demands to know why a prodigy like him was dumped in Class E, when he should be in Class A, fast-tracked for student leadership. Yubin's reply is simple: it was a direct order from the chairman. The chairman himself specifically demanded that Jun Wu be put in the lowest class. No matter what, just so he wouldn't attract any attention. The teacher finds the whole situation bizarre, asking if it isn't their job to stand out in this line of work. Yubin admits she doesn't know all the details herself. But then the office door bursts open. It's Ayun, panting and sweating from running all the way there. She reports that Kim Jun-woo is being cornered by Yuseok's gang right now. Back outside, Ju-hyuk lunges with his spear, but Jun-woo blocks it with a broom. Ju-hyuk curses under his breath, trying to stab him again and again. Now pay attention here. Because even though he's giving it his all, Ju-hyuk can't believe it. Activating this skill should have crushed a Baron-level fighter. But Jun-woo is casually defending against his ultimate moves with a broken broomstick. Ju-hyuk screams in pure frustration, demanding to know what is going on. But Jun-woo just blocks his spear again, without even breaking a sweat. He then calmly states that an armed skill isn't meant to be swung blindly. Ju-hyuk yanks his spear back, shouting at the special admission student. He yells, what could someone like Jun-woo possibly know about these skills? He tries to stab him over and over, but Jun-woo dodges every single attack. All while schooling him on his own weapon. He explains the traits of a summoning skill are defined by the core it came from. The Black Spear Trios is a skill derived from the core of a dark boar, a monster that controls shadows. As he dodges, Jun-woo asks the bully what traits his own weapon even has. You and I both know the answer to that, he's just swinging it like a fly swatter. That skill core was a gift Ju-hyuk's father gave him in middle school. It got him into the cadet academy and registered in the subjugation support system. It even landed him a spot in Class B after graduation. It was basically guaranteed Ju-hyuk would become an association-backed hunter. If he played his cards right, he could even become a student officer and get an early field assignment. But at this moment, he can't even land a scratch. Then Jun-woo strikes Ju-hyuk's hand, forcing him to drop the spear. A system warning flashes, telling Ju-hyuk his weapon has been detached. Jun-woo casually picks up the spear from the ground. He tells the bully to watch closely, saying he'll show him how to use it properly. And trust me, you're going to want to see this. He activates the spear, and the bright room is instantly swallowed by an expanding void of darkness. And just like that, the world suddenly plunges into total darkness. As the light returns, someone screams for everyone to look down at their feet. To their absolute horror, they realize their own shadows are peeling away from them. The chubby guy, finally coming to, looks down at his hand and freezes. He sees his shadow is just gone, vanished. The whole group turns their heads. All eyes lock onto Jun Wu and Jasu. Jasu is completely frozen in utter shock. He just can't process it. Jun Wu is standing there, literally surrounded by their shadows. He starts to wonder if Jun Wu's power was ever what he thought it was. Jun Wu walks toward Jasu, who's crawling backwards trying to get away. The guy wets his pants in fear, begging for his life, but Jun Wu still aims. He lifts the spear high into the air and brings it down for the final blow. Jasu completely loses it, screaming and crying like a baby, snot and all. Just then, the system announces the 1-minute time limit is up. The weapon is forcibly sealed. Jun Wu sees Jasu passed out and decides that's enough. He gives him a light kick to wake him up, and Jasu jolts awake, covering himself. Jun Wu tells him he didn't even lay a finger on him, so he needs to calm down. He tells him to pull himself together and get up. Trembling, Jasu obeys. Jun Wu calls him a kid and orders him to answer a few questions. Jasu stammers his agreement, and here's where it gets interesting. This is about more than just a beatdown. He explains that skills and weapons exist to fight monsters, not other people. Using them outside a dungeon is just plain dangerous. He asks if he's right. Silence, Jun Wu threatens him to get an answer, and Jasu finally admits it, stuttering. He agrees that Jun Wu was right, that it was dangerous. Then comes the real warning. If he ever dares use a skill in front of him again, he'll break his legs for real. He demands an answer, and Jasu can only squeak out a terrified yes. Jun Wu then turns to the rest of the gang, telling them to stay put. He looks at the chubby guy and orders him to punch him. The man is completely shocked. Jun Wu just repeats the order, hit me and use all the strength you have. He explains it'll stop rumors spreading about them messing with a special admission student. And ending up completely wrecked instead. The guy actually seems grateful for the idea. But he has to ask why would he do this. Jun Wu says he doesn't want rumors either. Spreading stories about him would just be a massive headache, so he tells them to hurry. The chubby man hesitates, asking if Jun Wu is actually being serious right now. Jun Wu just orders him again, hit me with everything you've got. He warns him that if he holds back, he'll be the one taking the punishment instead. So reluctantly, the chubby man launches a full power punch right into Jun Wu's face. And trust me, you and I are watching his plan unfold with absolute perfect timing. At that exact moment, the teachers arrive and Yubin panics when she sees the blood. She yells that they've gone too far on a brand new transfer. The chubby guy insists the blood is his. But the teachers aren't buying it for a second. They order everyone to the teacher's office. Yubin then instructs On to take Jun Wu to the infirmary right away. Jun Wu stumbles out of the room cursing. He realizes his body is way weaker than he thought. He snaps at On, asking what she's just standing there for. He tells her to get him to the infirmary quickly to stop the bleeding, but she's totally silent. Jun Wu just tells her to forget everything she just saw, saying he'll handle it himself. But Akon asks him straight up, who are you really? Junwoo just says he's a lowly special admission student who got what he deserved for stepping out of line. Akon cuts him off. She tells him to stop pretending because she already saw everything just a moment ago. We see Yubin telling Akon they'd take another route. While she went to check behind the gym, Akon heard strange noises coming from inside. She peeked in and witnessed the entire beatdown, leaving her completely stunned. Back in the present, she asks Jun Wu why someone with his insane talent is stuck in Class E. She points out that a guy like him could easily be in Class A. Junwoo just dismisses her. He says how he got in or where he ended up has absolutely nothing to do with her. His plan is simple, keep his head down and graduate quietly. So he tells her to forget everything she saw. Akon reluctantly agrees that he's right, and Jun Wu tells her to stop caring and just get him to the infirmary. But then she admits that she's just like the bullies. She confesses that she had judged him completely based on his status as a special admission student. Deep down, she even looked down on him. Jun Wu brushes it off, saying they should just go. But Akon keeps going, admitting that she had criticized him too, calling him trash who only cares about background and status. And then she gives him a formal, deep apology. Jun Wu accepts it and again asks her to take him to the infirmary. And here's where it gets wild. She keeps apologizing, then suddenly yells for him to help her. She screams that she absolutely has to become a member of the student council. Junwoo is just stunned, totally confused by the sudden shift. She explains that to even run, candidates need a guarantor. But no one is willing to act as a guarantor for someone like her who has no family connections or powerful background. They know other candidates would just harass the guarantor for adding to the competition. She points out that rich kids with powerful families like Yuck never have to worry about this. So she asks Jun Wu to be her guarantor. He immediately says no, telling her he's already swamped with his own problems. She promises she'll do anything he wants in return, but he just walks away, saying it's not something she can handle. He tells her again to just take him to the nurse's office. She reminds him that he's still new to the school and offers to help him learn the ropes. But he just coldly replies that he doesn't need her help. She asks if this is about money. But he just scoffs, asking if he looks like someone who steals a kid's pocket money. She then plays her final card, saying she'll introduce him to Eunuch. And trust me, that name stops him dead in his tracks. He asks her if she's serious. How could she possibly introduce him to Eunuch when he heard she was kicked out of her own house? He asks if they're still in contact. But she looks away, admitting that's not quite the case. Akon explains her plan. Since Eunuch is on the student council, if she becomes a member too, she can naturally get a chance to meet her. Hearing this, Jun Woo's nose starts bleeding even more. He turns away, muttering about how stupid he was to even expect anything. He tells her he'll just handle things himself, and then he suddenly feels dizzy and collapses. A panicked Akun rushes over asking him what's wrong. Stuttering, he reminds her. He's been asking her to take him to the infirmary this entire time. A little while later, all the higher-ups and teachers of Hunter Academy have gathered in the conference room for an emergency teacher meeting. You know something big is about to go down. All right, let's sit in on this faculty meeting, where one student's future is on the line. The teacher from Class 1C, Lee Jong-hun, starts things off. He reminds them the last incident ended with just a slap on the wrist. Even though everyone knows using skills on campus is an automatic expulsion. The supernatural biology teacher agrees, saying that this time around, they can't just turn a blind eye. The combat teacher Yang Guano chimes in. He assures them he and Ewan both saw the whole thing happen. It's not something they can just sweep under the rug. The principal of Hunter Academy turns to Woik, the chairman, and asks for his take on the situation. Woik calls on Han Yubin to get the facts straight, asking her if it's true. Did Juk and his friends really assault Jun Wu? Yubin confirms it, yes. She tells him she saw it all with her own eyes. Woik presses again, confirming Jun Wu was really beaten up. When she says yes, Woik looks almost relieved and thanks her. Composing himself, he addresses the entire room, stating what everyone already knows. Using unauthorized skills on school property is a major offense. And considering a similar case happened just days ago, he declares that showing leniency again is completely out of the question. Now pay attention. He announces that according to school regulations, Juk's punishment is expulsion. But just then a hand goes up. Wook acknowledges Jun Min, the teacher for Class 1B. Jun Min suggests that maybe expulsion is a little too harsh. Woik asks him to explain, but Jun Min flips the question back at him. Wasn't it just a mistake made by an over-enthusiastic teenager? He adds that stuff like this happened all the time when they were in school. Yubin snaps back, shouting that it was way more than a simple mistake. It could have turned into a serious accident, but Jun Min calmly shuts her down. He argues that Juk is a talented student, someone who will be the pride of the academy. As teachers, he says, it's not their place to crush that kind of potential. Yubin goes silent as Jun Min clarifies his point. He's not saying Juk is innocent. Using skills on campus is definitely against the rules. No question about that, however, he has a different idea. For Juk, a 1-week suspension would be a much better punishment. Woik looks at the now silent teachers, saying he understands Jun Min's point. He announces they'll decide Juk's final punishment later and let everyone know. And with that, Woik stands up, ending the meeting for the day. The teachers all file out of the room, leaving Jun Min all by himself. Now watch this, he pulls out his phone and calls someone named Mang Jin, the Minister of Subjugation, and yeah, he's also Juk's father. Jun Min reports that the meeting's over and it looks like Juk's just getting a suspension. Laughing, he asks if Juk isn't the best candidate for the student council. He promises Mang Jin he'll personally handle that special admissions student. Kim Jun Wu, Jun Min adds that with the end-of-month evaluations coming up, he'll deal with Jun Wu then. The next day, our main character is back in class. He's thinking about how it's been 3 days since he started here. 3 days and he still hasn't seen even a single sign of Yunhai. He reflects on his new class, E-class, and how it's packed with total losers. Trust me, you're about to see why this Hunter Academy's loser class is a complete joke. They don't even teach hunting, just regular school subjects, which makes zero sense. He figures they might as well just get rid of the E-class altogether. In a school that calls itself a Hunter Academy, he's just trying to lay low. No point in standing out right now, and then someone whacks him on the back of the head. It's Yuk's gang, reminding him he was supposed to have the hot pot ready. They start yelling, asking if his plan was to starve them all to death. Since he didn't even bring bread, one of them threatens to knock some sense into him. Jun Wu just laughs awkwardly, playing his part, knowing how all this looks. On the surface, he's just their hopeless errand boy getting chewed out. Now pay attention, because the moment they're out of sight, the entire script flips. The second they're alone, Jun Wu calls out to them and the whole gang freezes. He tells them that slap from earlier actually hurt a little, and they immediately bow. Apologizing like their lives depend on it, he asks if they got too carried away. Terrified, they swear they didn't, assuring him it was all just an act. They even remind him he's the one who ordered them to make it look as real as possible. Jun Wu cuts to the chase. Did they find out what he'd asked for? The big guy hesitates, saying it's nearly impossible for a first year to get close. Annoyed, Jun Wu glares and asks if they found out anything at all. Stammering, they tell him it wasn't a total failure, they learned something. Turns out their target, Yunshi, is almost never at school. Jun Wu presses for more. The chubby one adds that Yunshin doesn't really have any friends either. He's only close to one person, a fellow student council member, Kim Jong-hun. Hearing this, Jun Wu finally cracks a smile, the only useful thing they've found. So he asks where he can find this Kim Jong-hun at that moment. But nope, turns out Kim Jong-hun barely even comes to school either. Frustrated, Jun Wu lets them go, calling them idiots and blaming himself for trusting them. He tells them to get lost, and the entire group scurries away in a panic. They're apologizing and promising to get real info next time as they run for their lives. As Jun Wu's scratching his head, An shows up to rub it in. She told him this plan of his was never going to work. Irritated, he asks what she's doing there. She explains that Jong-hun is an official member of the student council. That makes it almost impossible for anyone to just walk up and meet him. He scoffs, asking what the big deal is. It's not like they're congressmen. Let's pause for a second because the student council here is on a whole other level. At Hunter Academy, it's made up of only the absolute best of the best. They're from prestigious families, have insane skills, and are filthy rich. Jun Wu says they're just kids, but she clarifies that he's dead wrong. They aren't just students, they are also officially recognized hunters. The association itself recognizes them, and they get deployed on actual missions. She adds that on top of everything, their parents are incredibly influential. So influential, in fact, that even the teachers have to tiptoe around them. Their power inside the academy is immense, and it only grows after graduation. An continues, explaining that the student council operates on a different plane of existence. So what do you and I take from this? For regular students, these guys might as well be gods. Even see them after graduation. You and I both know how this goes. Juno asks if there's another way. Another way to find them, but Ayun just reminds him of her original deal. If he vouches for her to join the student council, she can help him. Juno bluntly repeats that he's not interested. Ayun, crushed, asks him why. She keeps pushing, insisting it won't hurt him, but Juno just gets brutally honest. He points out that she herself admitted only those from powerful families or with exceptional skills get in, and from what he can tell, she has neither. Ayun yells back that he could just teach her. Even if she doesn't have the family name, she could at least get better skills. She claims she's got the brains to learn fast and that her abilities would be top tier in no time. Juno just laughs out loud, calling her hilarious. He warns her straight up, if she trained under him, she would die. That shuts her up. He adds that he doesn't get why she's so obsessed with joining the student council, telling her not to aim for something so far out of her league. But watch this, Ayun hits back with pure raw desperation. She'd rather die than not become a student council member, begging him to help. She shouts that she'll endure any training he throws at her, whether it's subjugation skills or pure martial arts, but Juno simply turns away, saying break's over. He starts to leave. Ayun desperately runs after him, shouting for him to wait. Juno cracks a little smile, finally seeing that fiery determination in her. It's been a long time since he's seen eyes like that. He starts to think that maybe, just maybe, Ayun might actually be useful. A moment later in the classroom, Yubin is praising her students for doing a great job in today's lesson. She asks the class if they're all aware the monthly evaluation is scheduled for this week. They all say yes. She reminds them not to let their guard down, though. Just because it's a monthly exam doesn't make it easy, pointing out their scores last month were pretty bad. They absolutely need to try harder this time. Yubin tells them that this evaluation will mostly be writ exams on general subjects. So if they focus on studying, they should be able to pass. But then suddenly someone interrupts, apologizing for barging in during homeroom. Yubin turns around to see Junmin entering the classroom. He assures her it's nothing too serious, but explains he's here to announce a few changes to the monthly evaluation. Junmin walks to the center of the class and tells everyone to listen carefully. Okay, get ready, because what he says next is an absolute bombshell. He announces that starting this month, the evaluation is now a practical exam. Held inside a real dungeon, the entire class completely loses their minds. Yubin is furious. She asks Junmin if he really just said a practical exam. Surprised by her anger, he tells her to lower her voice in front of the students. Yubin argues that a practical exam is way too much for kids who haven't even finished their first semester yet, especially her Class E students. Junmin immediately twists her words, asking if she thinks Class E just isn't capable. Yubin is left completely speechless as Junmin continues his speech. He states that the decision has already been made. And besides, excluding someone from their education just because of a small skill gap is basically discrimination. He asks how long these students are expected to just sit on the sidelines. You and I both know his point is clear. This is a hunter academy.
We'll drag each image frame and we drag each image frame in to make the images run a drag drop into CapCut. And similarly with the audio file, we also drag like that all audio. I guarantee that all audio and images and videos are all created by Miso. After I've dragged the audio and images, I will have a version like this. I will insert effects into each frame to create visual appeal for viewers finally. I will review the video one more time to see if there are any parts